Good morning, everybody. So, the Nintendo Switch just hit 100 million units sold worldwide. Let's talk about it. What is good, everybody? Richie here, and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive right into things, be sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe if you're somebody new, and click that notification bell so you stay up to date with all my shenanigans here on the channel. And yeah, let's talk about it. So, let's rewind back to 2017. I sort of, at this time, I grew out of the phase of video games. I kind of fell off because I was in search of other things. I was in search of like the meaning of life, and I was in search of a lot of things, and I just kind of stopped playing video games in general. They bored me. I was very bored at this time, and yeah, I don't know. I was chasing money is what I was doing back then. And to make a long story short, I saw a commercial for the Nintendo Switch. And it was in a GameStop. I was looking around in a GameStop. I hadn't been into a GameStop in a really long time. And I'm looking around and I see this commercial and I'm like, what is that? And I'm looking at it, and I thought, I have to have that. I have to get that piece of machinery. I gotta get that. I absolutely have to have that. And so I made a way. I found a way. I made it happen. I got myself a Nintendo Switch. And this is coming from somebody that loves all three companies. I currently have an Xbox Series S. I have a PlayStation 4 Pro because you can't get a PlayStation 5 anywhere right now without paying some obscene number for the games. And I also have the Nintendo Switch. I've got a Nintendo 3DS. I have a Switch Lite. I have always been, ever since I was a kid, and say what you will about Nintendo, and they make kid games, or they make games for kids, but I have always had an infinite amount of love for Nintendo because they make really fun games, and I'm a sucker for anything Zelda. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think the Nintendo Switch is the greatest console ever made. Does it have its own issues? Of course it does. But Nintendo's always found a way to make it work. I do think the hardware is dated, and it definitely needs an upgrade on the RAM and the GPU and stuff like that, but overall it's piece of machinery, and I just think it needs like a an incremental upgrade, something akin to just give it more power so that it can, just give me games at 1080p at 60 frames per second. That's all I want. That I'm not asking for like 4K graphics or anything. I just want, give me 1080p and 60 frames per second, or at least close to 1080p. Like, as long as I get a steady frame rate, I'm not too irritated about games looking not real. I love games that are photorealistic, and at the same time, it doesn't really matter to me. I like games of all types and genres and spectrums, but yeah. So, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I won't sit here and tell you I think it is the greatest game ever made. The gameplay is a little dated. The action, combat of the game is very dated in my opinion. I think at this point in Link's journey in The Legend of Zelda, I think at this point Link needs a skill tree, or give him different methods of using magic or something along those lines. But I feel like the dodge bullet time version of gameplay, I think it's a little dated, especially if that's pretty much the main mechanic the whole game. Yes, you can do with the physics, you can, manipulate items to hit enemies, and you can use bombs and arrows and all types of stuff, and you can attack from high and low, and you can jump, and yeah, I get all of that, but I do think the general consensus of Breath of the Wild's combat system is dated. I think at this point, like I said, Link needs a skill tree. Why does Link move so slow? The flow of Link should be fast-paced, akin to, I think if you're going to compare how fast Link should be, he should be somewhere along the lines of, like, he should feel like an agile character, and to me, Link doesn't. The whole stamina thing is kind of irritating. How you have to use stamina to approach an enemy, or to catch up to an enemy, I just kind of think it's dumb. I compare Link sort of to Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Both of them should be fast. Like, they just have they have a very similar, they're very similar. Like, to me, both of those characters are very similar, and I think you could do a lot with Link's speed, make him not feel so tanky. I've played over 150 hours of Breath of the Wild, and I can say that to me, in just my opinion, in general, he just feels a little tanky. He feels not fluid. He doesn't feel, like Bruce Lee says, be like water. Link should be like in the flow. Like, he should be in a flow. In a state of flow, and I think that would make the gameplay better. But yeah, just reflecting on Breath of the Wild, I'm very excited for Breath of the Wild 2, whatever they're gonna call it. I'm sure Nintendo's gonna come up with some kind of weird name, but yeah, I'm very excited for Breath of the Wild 2. And all things Metroid. I love Metroid. I love Metroid Dread. I'm a massive fan of the game. I really hope that game sells 3 million at least, so that Nintendo sees that I'm sure they see that it's a financial success, but hopefully it doesn't. So hopefully it doesn't do bad, so we can get more Metroid games, because I am a massive Metroid fan. But yeah, I mean, just going back and looking on the time when the Switch first came out, I remember reading articles from journalists and game industry insiders and people who were dogging it, saying it was gonna fail, it was a flop, it's based on gimmicks, it's not gonna do well, Nintendo hasn't learned from any of their mistakes. And here we are, sitting at 100 million units, and it's probably going to be the best selling home console of all time. All they got to do at this point is come up with a new iteration and make it more powerful, and yeah, I feel like that is the future. The future of gaming is you can play the game in your home, and then you take it with you on the go. I feel like Nintendo has absolutely killed that. You even got the Steam Deck's doing the same thing. You've got other companies basically copying what Nintendo's doing, and you can tell it's got to be the way of the future. The future is, like, people are too busy to play games, so you make it home console and portable, and you can take it with you wherever you go. It's genius, absolute genius marketing, and the whole marketing team that works at Nintendo or works for Nintendo or is subcontracted, they got it. Like, they know how they've marketed this thing very well, and I feel like that's why the Nintendo Switch has such a mass appeal, and it's only going to continue to succeed. This year is looking stacked with games, and I'm very excited as a gamer. you know, I've got quite a few games in the backlog, but and I'm trying to I'm trying to beat those as we speak. But yeah, hopefully it continues to do well, and the Nintendo Switch flourishes, and they continue this route of hopefully they continue the route of this iteration where it's just, okay, here's the Switch, but it's more powerful. And I feel like this formula, they can't mess up. They have to keep going on this route, because if they deter from it, it's just going to piss a whole bunch of people off, and I don't think they want to do that. They know what they have. But yeah, like I said, this is all coming from somebody who loves all three companies. I love Microsoft. I love Sony. I love what they're doing. And yeah, just in general, I'm very glad to see that Nintendo has finally, they found a flow. They figured it out, and it seems like they are sticking to this formula, and hopefully it turns out it turns out to be something that gets close to like 150, 150 million, 200 million, who knows. The future's looking good for Nintendo, and I think that's really cool, seeing as how they came from a pretty defeated state from the Wii U. The Wii U, say what you want about it, it did some cool things, but I don't know, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I will catch you on the next